Welcome and good morning, good afternoon to our participants across the United States and Sub-Saharan Africa. My name is Gabriela Zelaya and I'm the Global Education Team Leader with the U.S. Commercial Service Office in San Jose, California. It is my pleasure to welcome you and thank you for joining us for the Sub-Saharan Africa Education Market Brief webinar. Before we get into today's program, I do have a couple of quick housekeeping items for you. All of the participants will be muted throughout the webinar. Please use the Q&A box to type in your questions. We will address questions throughout the presentations in the Q&A box. We have reserved some time at the end to answer any questions we don't get to as well. Please use the chat box for any technical issues you may have. Again, we will be recording today's webinar and we will be sending the recording to you on Tuesday for your reference. We have an excellent and very full agenda today. We will provide you with an update on the education market opportunities in 8 countries across the Sub-Saharan Africa region. We will start with an overview of Sub-Saharan Africa, followed by Angola and Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana, Mozambique, Tanzania, South Africa, and Nigeria. Lastly, we are pleased to have Consular Chief Merida Lamb representing the U.S. Embassy in Mozambique on the agenda to provide a consular update. I would also like to acknowledge the team members who have supported this program: Stephanie Bethel, Sharif Loza, Catherine Muth Murray, and the team members in Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you for your assistance with this program. Before we begin with our first presenter, I'd like to share that the U.S. Department of Commerce recently released the National Export Strategy and included a chapter on strengthening U.S. international education for the first time. And this chapter includes connecting U.S. institutions and consortia with foreign groups interested in U.S. education, promoting the United States as a premier study destination, highlighting the importance of international education as a U.S. export, identifying and promoting global opportunities for U.S. education industry representatives, and leveling the playing field in export markets. You can read more about this chapter on our link, trade.gov/national-export-strategy. Just a little bit about the CS, the Commercial Service Global Network. For those of you who are new to our organization, the Commercial Service is the trade promotion arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce International Trade Administration. We operate as a global network of trade professionals located in our embassies and consulates in more than 80 countries around the world and at about 100 cities across the United States. We offer a range of programs and services across the globe. This includes export transactions, including export counseling. We have a wealth of market intelligence available on our websites at trade.gov. We help U.S. companies and educational institutions to find partners overseas through our customized business matchmaking services, and we help ensure the competitiveness of U.S. industry in the global marketplace through our commercial diplomacy efforts and the variety of customized services to meet the needs of the education community. Through our customized business matchmaking services, such as the International Partner Search, the Gold Key Service, or the Single School Promotion, we can introduce you to international education agents, high school counselors, universities, or other educational institutions seeking partnership opportunities, and foreign companies seeking specialized training. I would now like to ask my colleague Sharif Loza to join us and share more information about our upcoming USA A Study Destination Virtual Connection Program with Sub-Saharan Africa. Now to Sharif.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. So first of all, I want to give thanks and kudos to Gabriela, who's been the driving force behind this program and our global education team outreach. She's just doing a fantastic job bringing our message to U.S. institutions, fostering connections with international institutions, and that's what she does day in, day out for the United States. So congratulations and thanks again, Gabriela. So my name is Sharif. I work in our U.S. Commercial Service office in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I have the pleasure to introduce USA, a study destination virtual connection program with a focus on Sub-Saharan Africa, which is going to take place on the 13th through the 16th of November. Next slide, thank you. During the Sub-Saharan African Virtual Connection Program, the U.S. educational institutions will be able to schedule one-on-one meetings with educational recruitment agents, high school counselors, and international education institutions using our new online platform called InEvent. Our education commercial specialists also will be able to meet with you for one-on-one meetings to provide in-depth market insights and help you understand the best ways to enter those markets. This program is a great opportunity to quickly build a network of reliable contacts in a region that is significant for international student recruitment for U.S. institutions. At the end of the program, U.S. institutions will receive the contact information for the international participants that register for the program. We will send out more information about the USA, a study destination virtual connections program, Sub-Saharan Africa, following this webinar, and hope that you choose to join this program. I think it's a novel tool, and I expect it's a cost-effective tool, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity for U.S. institutions to really ramp up their ability to make international connections in a virtual platform and environment. With that, let me turn this back over to Gabriella. Thanks, Gabriella.
Thank you so much, Sharif. With that, let's jump into today's program. It is my pleasure to welcome Catherine Muth-Murray, Commercial Officer with the U.S. Commercial Service Office in Mozambique. Catherine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gabriella. Good morning, everyone. My name is Catherine Muth-Murray, and I am a commercial officer currently serving at the U.S. Embassy in Maputo, Mozambique. I am also the advisor to the Sub-Saharan Africa Education Team. Today, I'm pleased to be providing an overview of the region and additional information on the Angolan and Kenyan markets. Sub-Saharan Africa consists of 49 countries and is in the process of integrating into the world's largest free trade zone. The region presents real opportunity for American businesses, encompassing a combined market population of over 1 billion people and a GDP of more than 1.5 trillion. Rapid population and GDP growth will only increase this opportunity in the future, as the region is home to some of the fastest growing economies in the world. The U.S. Commercial Service is present in 8 sub-Saharan African countries: Angola, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Mozambique, Nigeria, South Africa, and Tanzania. In the coming year, we will be opening offices in Cote d'Ivoire and Zambia. We also have a team of experts located at the Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C., who cover the rest of the region. Today, you will have an opportunity to hear from our experts on the ground in 6 of the markets we currently cover. I would also be offering a basic overview of the Angolan and Kenyan markets today. Next slide. The Commercial Service Office in Angola is currently manned by a team of 4, 1 commercial officer like myself and 3 commercial staff members. Should you be interested in connecting with this market, please reach out to me and I will connect you to the team. I'll place my email in the chat for your reference and use after my presentation. Next slide. Angola is a lower middle class country located in southern Africa with a gross domestic product of $74 billion. The country has a population of over 35 million, with over 50% of the population under the age of 22. Angola is a Portuguese-speaking nation and conducts most of its business within that language. In 2022, the Angolan Ministry of Education was commissioned to implement programs to rapidly respond to preschool, primary, and secondary priority education needs. The country's inefficient educational system, inherited from the colonial and Civil War eras, is haunted by oppression, discrimination, and massive destruction of public infrastructure. After gaining independence, the educational system of the country failed to offer full-time classes to primary and secondary levels, leaving pupils with a deficit in reading, writing, speaking, comprehension, and critical thinking skills. The lack of qualified teachers has inhibited the delivery of quality education and training services and has negatively impacted early childhood learning. The 2022 decree conferred to the Ministry of Education the Ministry of Education, the ability to implement educational reforms from preschool all the way up to secondary in a national educational system. Areas for opportunity for American educational institutions are within bringing programs into the country and enriching the national curricula. Next slide. My colleague, Catherine Melinda, covers the educational portfolio for our office in Kenya. She was unable to join us today, but should you be interested in connecting with this market, please reach out to me and I will connect you to her. Kenya is a country of 54 million people that is rich in diverse cultures, people, and natural heritage. Kenya has a market-based economy and is generally considered the economic, commercial, financial, and logistics hub of East Africa. The government of Kenya continues to place a high priority on education in its budgetary allocation, which is in line with its mandate of ensuring every Kenyan citizen is literate and able to access basic education. In its 2020 to 2022 national budget announcement, the education sector was allocated $4.4 billion US dollars, or 26.7% of the national budget. Of this, $524.8 million was allocated for free secondary education and $109.6 million for free primary school education. Most opportunities are found in recruiting for undergraduate and graduate programs in the United States. Kenyan students have high interest in studying technology and computer sciences and are especially interested in courses not offered by local universities. In 2022, Kenya had 14,060 students studying abroad, according to UNESCO. U.S. education institutions should take advantage of the thriving digital space in Kenya by investing in content creation to attract Kenyan students. Virtual school tours, student life, and educational benefits are some of the aspects that they should focus on. Facebook should be the primary platform of use, along with Google, to target the specific demographic and to target parents who fund their children's educational dreams. YouTube and Instagram are also utilized to appeal to students looking to study in the U.S. Looking to the entire region, I hope you and your institution will seriously consider doing business here. Thank you all for your time and attention. I now turn the presentation back to Gabriella. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Catherine. I would now like to introduce our colleague, Siraj Mustafa, who is representing our commercial service office in Ethiopia. Siraj?
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you, team. I'm just turning my video off for quality of connections. So let me start introducing Ethiopian market. Ethiopia is a very young country with median age of 20 years almost, and has a population of 124 million. Out of this population, almost 59%, which is around 73 million, is under the age of 25 years. This indicates that there is a presence of huge market for the education sector, as most of the students in high school and tertiary education fall under this age group. There is also strong and expanding relationship between USA and Ethiopia, in addition to the historic cultural ties between the two countries. Next slide, please. With high budget allocation, education sector is among private sector for Ethiopian government. In 2023, the education sector budget stands at 1 billion, which is 10% of the country's budget. The government is introducing several reforms to modernize the sector and has recently launched a new education roadmap and system with a focus on digitalization. We call it DTEST. As of today, more than 1,800 tertiary schools, 3,688 high schools, and 30,000 elementary schools are available in the country, with a total of more than 31 million students enrolled in school. Please, next slide. The strong demand for foreign school in the country due to several shortcomings of the country's education policy, male equality. As for UNESCO, a total of 8,124 students are studying abroad, of which 2,680, that means 32%, are in the USA, and this number is being the #1 destination of Ethiopian students. Next slide. Among these students in USA in 2022, as you look like from the table, 64% of the students are enrolled in undergraduate program and 52% preferred an institution with doctoral universities. Minnesota and Maryland are the prime destination state of Ethiopian students in USA. Next slide, please. Regarding opportunities, the extent of international and private school presents an opportunity for USA schools. USA institution can work with a local partner who has connection with students and families. Lower tuition is a tactical marketing technique in Ethiopia education market. Online learning programs have recently become highly demanded and is another area of opportunity for USA education institutions, especially as this program enables students to access USA education without going through difficult and costly travel and visa procedure. Besides this one, when USA universities partner with local universities, this will result in local recognition of degrees offered by USA universities, and this will expand further demand within the country. Next slide, please. The Ministry of Education new education strategy focusing on digitalization, DTEST, is another area of opportunity for USA EdTech company services. There is a big demand from the ministry for new technological approach to teaching and record management. USA EdTech service providers can participate in competitive international tenders issued by Ministry of Education. There are detailed breakdown of intervention in this program. If anyone wishes, I can share like full documents. Next slide, please. Starting from 2008, Ethiopian education policy favors 70% of all students to pursue science and technology-related degrees, while the remaining 30% to pursue social sciences. Due to this, engineering, computer science, and medicine are a prime program of interest for students in Ethiopia. Next slide, please. Regarding challenges, lack of USA institution representing local markets compared to other competitor countries such as European and Chinese is the big challenge. Getting visa for education and education-related activities are also a challenge due to mainly like misuse of visa by students and those who are asking visa for education purposes. Lack of finance for students to cover education costs is another challenge, and this make them to prefer like community college, which can be accessed with lower costs. And lastly, payment delays. This is both for government and students. There is a payment delays both for big government projects and student education due to the chronic forex shortage in the country. Thank you so much. Please, if you want
Wonderful.
to contact.
Thank you so much, Suraj. Oh, go ahead.
If anyone wants to contact us, our office can be accessed. My email can be accessed with this contact, siramsafate.gov. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Suraj. It is my pleasure now to introduce our colleague from Ghana, Jane Annan. She's representing our education sector in Accra, Ghana. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Jane Annan, and I'm the commercial specialist in Ghana. Over here at the commercial service in Ghana, we're a team of 6, and I handle education and training. Please move on to the next slide. Okay, so Ghana at a glance, I'm going to go through the key facts first. So we are a population of over 34 million, and the demographics of the ages between 15 to 24 is 18.63%, meaning a good percentage of the population is in their youth. The college age population is about 496,000, and the GDP is 77.59 billion. Out of this, 3.8% of the GDP has been allocated to the education budget. However, this is less than the proposed 6% from UNESCO and is projected to go down due to some economic hardships that the country is currently facing. Regardless of that, Ghanaian students continue to choose the United States as a top destination for higher education. Within the West African region, Ghana is the second has the second highest number of students in the US, and we are second to only Nigeria. We also rank 18th in the world for sending students to the United States for graduate programs. And over almost 5,000 Ghanaian students study in US colleges or universities during 2021 and the 2022 academic year. Next slide. Okay, so the students' preferences, even though they go to the US to study, they also have some good competition from countries like China, Canada, Australia, and some of the European countries. And the popular fields of study include the MBAs or business administration, the STEM subjects, as well as health sciences. Before parents would choose a school to study, parents would choose a school for their kids, or students would choose a school to study in the US. They consider things like affordability, the security of the location, scholarships, which is a very big thing that they focus on, as well as the demographics of the place and students' loans. Next slide, please. The US states that are currently having the highest number of Ghanaian students include Ohio, New York, Massachusetts, Michigan, and Texas. Ohio University in Athens has the highest number of Ghanaian students, as well as Calvin College. They also have a good number of Ghanaian students currently. When it comes to opportunities for education institutions in the US, here in Ghana, there's an opportunity for them to collaborate with higher education institutions in terms of looking at talents and academic scholarships for the students. So there's a chance for them to engage with these Ghanaian institutions and provide these scholarships in order to create a relationship, especially with the high schools, so that they can move from there into tertiary or graduate education in the US. There's also partnerships with the government and local universities. Virtual distance learning, due to COVID, that is something that has become very popular. So we have US schools that offer degrees for Ghanaian students whilst they're still living in Ghana, but then they are still able to gain a US degree through distance learning. And there's also opportunities in the medical field, where US schools are able to train Ghanaian students in the sciences in order to create that collaboration. Next slide, please. For prospective partners, just like I mentioned, with collaborating with different agencies, there's the Ministry of Education, recruitment agencies, the public and private universities, as well as some private sector companies that are looking to sometimes fulfill their social responsibilities. And then they provide scholarships for students. So partnering with them also provides opportunities for US institutions. Next slide, please. With everything said, there's still some challenges that Ghanaian students face, as well as the schools face when they want to work together with each other. One of the key ones is obtaining visas. Due to COVID, there's been a big backlog for students to be able to obtain visas to study in the US. So that is one challenge that both sides focus on. It's something that the embassy is also working on to curb that. There's also the issue of funding and scholarships. Because of the economic hardships in the country currently, the currency is quite weak as compared to the dollar. So in paying fees, there's sometimes a challenge since the fees become so high. You have to change a lot of CDs in order to get a few dollars to pay school fees. So there can also be payments delays. And just like I mentioned at the beginning, there is strong competition from UK, China, Canada, and Australia. Okay, so that's it for me. If you want to know more about Ghana, you can always reach out to me on the email address stated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane, for that overview. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our colleagues, both Shobit Palan with Mozambique, and because we'll have our next presenter after that. Thank you.
Hi, Gabriella. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shobit Balan. I'm the commercial assistant at the U.S. Commercial Service in Maputo, and I cover the education sector. Next slide, please. So just to give you a glance of Mozambique, Mozambique is the size of Texas and Louisiana combined. We have a population around 32 million. As you can see on the right-hand side, it's a fairly young population. And we also have seen an uptick when it comes to Mozambican students traveling to the US for studies. This has been gradually growing, but also we know that with the US, other study destinations include South Africa and Portugal due to the proximity, and Portugal due to the cultural ties, but also UK and India as well. Just like Angola, Mozambique is a Portuguese-speaking country, but it is also part of the Commonwealth nation. So English is something very important here to be considered when it comes to Mozambique, including studying in English as well. Next slide, please. Another factor to be considered is the education budget of Mozambique. It stands around 22% of the total budget, and that's the total budget is around 40% of the GDP, which is around $19 billion. So the Mozambican government significantly invests in the education sector. But also it has a leg. Leg is called the Local Education Group, which comprises of civil society, the government itself, but also donor agencies, including USAID, which have established the education strategic program from 2020 to 2029 that was just approved in 2020. Basically, it focuses on areas such as teacher training, bilingual education, but also textbook development and distribution. And obviously, this is spearheaded by the Ministry of Education and Human Development. The objective of this strategy is to promote quality learning, transparent and effective management of the sector. Which also brings an opportunity for U.S. institutions because there are a number of programs to which the Mozambican government is interested in when it comes to offering education or training, especially when it comes to English language. Something else which is quite interesting about Mozambique, it has a long coastline of around 2,000 miles, over 9 conservation areas, which brings along a lot of opportunity when it comes to science and conservation, which we'll be talking more about. Next slide. Top receiving states when it comes from students traveling from Mozambique to the US include New York, Texas, Washington, D.C., Kansas, and California. Next slide. Opportunities for US institutions. The community college offering 2-year programs is of interest to educational institutions here in Mozambique, but also exchange programs is something that we see that the private sector or the education institution here is quite interested, both in the corporate side, but also when it comes to education institutions as well. Certifications in oil and gas sector. We'll be talking a bit more about the oil and gas sector as well. but that's something of interest as well. And also, as I mentioned, tourism is part of the Mozambican economy, and English language is a necessity when it comes to providing quality services in this area as well. Fintech programs and marine conservation are also priorities when it comes to education degrees. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, oil and gas, Mozambique holds one of the largest gas reserves in the world. This is currently being exploited by the big giants, including ExxonMobil. Out of this, the government of Mozambique is working to develop a local content law, obviously creating a local content working group. Basically, the opportunity here is the direct impact that these mega projects will have. We're talking around $20 billion per project. We have Area 1, $20 billion, Area 4, which is around $24 billion. A lot of opportunities when it comes to skills development, local training for the small and medium enterprises, but also development of financing lines. Next slide. When we talk about human skills development, this is where U.S. institutions have an opportunity to enter into public-private partnerships to train young graduates here in Mozambique when it comes to specialized skills development training for the oil and gas industry, but also making use of the technical and vocational education and training program, which is being devised by the government to develop centers of excellence for internationally certified certifications that will be placed in the south, center, and north of the country as well. Next slide. When it comes to strengthening of small and medium enterprises, including micro enterprises, this is again an opportunity for U.S. institutions to develop specialized courses when it comes to the oil and gas industry and enter into partnerships and affiliations with local Mozambican institutions in the sector. Development financing lines, SMEs will have agreements with the big oil and gas companies operators. So this is of high interest when it comes to the long-term credit options. Next slide. Prospective partners, obviously the Ministry of Education and Human Development. The TVET program, as I mentioned, that sits under ANEP, which is the National Association for Professional Training. Universities and technical institutions, ENOC, which is the National Institute of Standards and Quality, Institute of Promotion of Small and Medium Enterprises, IPEM, but also the private game reserves and marine conservation areas, which we mentioned in the beginning, which is something that is of quite interest when developing the ecotourism market here in Mozambique. But also the private sector companies, we have a lot of corporates that are quite interested in sending their workers to the US for specialized training in specific areas as well. Next slide. Some of the challenges that Mozambican faces that can be turned into opportunities as well is heavily driven by scholarships, basically from South Africa, Portugal, UK, US, India, Japan, and the Netherlands. Language is a barrier. As I mentioned, it's a Portuguese-speaking country, but English has become a priority in Mozambique given the large gas projects as well. The percentage of illiteracy rate is still significantly high, but has been reducing over the coming years as well. Poverty and weak socioeconomic conditions tends to be lower levels of learning, but obviously with the large number of donor agencies present in Mozambique, that has been changing as well. Next slide. This is my contact, and I'm happy to take any questions, and feel free to email me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shobit. Now I would like to introduce Shalom Katuli, our representative from Tanzania covering the education sector. Shalom.
Hello everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Gabriela. My name is Shalom Katule. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Shalom. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. So my name is Shalom Katule. I am the commercial assistant here at the U.S. Commercial Service Tanzania. We are a team of 4, and I happen to cover various sectors, including education. Next slide, please. So Tanzania in a glance. So a little overview of Tanzania. Tanzania is located in the eastern side of Africa, a home to the mountain Kilimanjaro and Zanzibar, with a population of 67,438,106 people in the country. Having Swahili as the official language, as well as English, which is also considered as an official language and business language as well. The college age population is 5,098,000, and also with female is 5,948,000. So the next slide, please. So the top receiving states are California, Texas, New York, Massachusetts, and Minnesota. Next slide, please. So these are a few opportunities for U.S. universities to partners with Tanzania. So different partnership with Tanzania Education Institution, who offer joint programs, curriculums, and also assist curriculum development and improvement. A good example that we have is Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology, which is a partner of MIT in Tanzania. Additionally, there's a room in engaging in research partnerships to address skill gaps in Tanzania. And also another one is providing English language training, even though that English is considered as an official language and business language, but it is not the first language in Tanzania, Swahili being the first official language. And the other opportunity is enhancing online education, providing online courses or degree programs that can reach Tanzanian students, especially in the remote or underserved areas, and also adding Swahili as a means of training. The last one is developing vocational and technical trainings that align Tanzania's workforce needs and contributing skill development and employability. Next slide. So the prospective partners are University of Dar es Salaam. University of Dar es Salaam is among the oldest universities in Tanzania, which was established in 1961, and it's currently the top university in Tanzania. The second one being Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology, which provide telecom, communications trainings and degrees. Following with Muhimbili University of Health and Allied Science, Sokoine University of Agriculture, and also the private sector institution, which includes education colleges. Next slide. So the challenges that there is in the market in Tanzania is a tough competition from universities from India, UK, and Malaysia and China, then them being quite affordable and very easily accessible. Culture and language differences, as I had mentioned before, Swahili is the first official language, so some or parts of Tanzania don't really speak English as a fluent language. And the other challenge is dealing with administrative procedures, permits, and legal requirements in Tanzania, which can be quite time consuming and complex. The last one is Tanzania as a country with a large geographical area. Some areas may have limited access to reliable internet infrastructure, which might hinder the online education and research activities. Next slide. So programs of interest, we currently have 2 upcoming conferences that will happen in Tanzania. One of them being the Global Leadership Summit, which includes international speakers from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, who meet students from secondary schools, even to universities, and getting to talk to them. It's considered as a good avenue to connect with students who are interested to study different majors in different universities. Also similar to the International Conference Development Student Studies, which is also held in Tanzania at the University of Dar es Salaam. Next slide. So that's a brief overview of the Tanzanian market. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact on the email seen on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shalom, for that overview. I would now like to introduce my next colleague, Sanjay Hari Parshad, covering the education sector in South Africa. Sanjay.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Sanjay Hari Prasad. I'm a commercial specialist. I'm based in the sunny city of Durban in South Africa. And it's a pleasure to talk about our wonderful country. If you can go to the next slide, please. So just in terms of South Africa at a glance, some key facts about South Africa. We have a population of about 60.5 million as of last year. Within the ages of 18 to 24, which is generally your university going age, that population is around 11 million. 55% have completed high school. 31% of those are actual university graduates. Now, of interest to note is that amongst those stats, so you can see that there's probably around 4 million people who could study at university within this age group. The reality is that South Africa's tertiary institutes can only have an intake annually of just under 400,000 pupils. So there's a big gap and a big loss that needs to be filled. Many of them study abroad. If you look at the first pie chart, which is clear, but the first pie chart, there's about 10,500 South Africans who study overseas as of last year. 3,200 are in North America, which is made up of the US and Canada. Europe has just over 3,000, with Asia and Asia continuing to grow. It's interesting to note that under other is one of the fastest growing destinations. We're seeing countries such as China, countries such as Cuba, Mauritius, and other parts of Africa are beginning to grow in influence as we look at the student numbers studying abroad. In terms of South African students studying in the United States, we've got, and I've included just the three graphs of 2018, pre-COVID, 2019, and 2022, because I think those 3 years give a realistic trend. And what we're seeing is there's been a steady increase year on year for South Africans studying in the United States. There was 1,840 students in 2018, going up to just over 2,074 students in 2019, and around 2,375 students studying in the United States this past year. Interesting to note, if you look at the key on the graph, undergraduate students are the most popular students who study in the US. Postgraduates are experiencing steady growth, and vocational courses, although they could use a little bit of impetus and improvement. If you can go to the next slide, please. Just a model of the South African schooling system. High school is a 6-year term. The academic calendar runs between mid-January and early December. And it's important that we align, your recruitment and any U.S. institutions who want to visit this country align to suit that academic calendar, which is a little bit different. I think the best time to look to recruit and engage with students in South Africa is between the months of February through to June. It does become more difficult to gain access to these students after that. The main language of instruction in South Africa is English. As far as most schools go, South Africa obviously has 11 official languages. What we've seen is that students who attend an English medium high school and who generally perform well academically reliably can be granted a waiver from the TOEFL examinations, which I think is a big plus for wanting to study in the United States. The school leaving exams, there's two types of school leaving exams. Public schools all write the National Senior Certificate exams, which is governed by the Department of Education, of Basic Education in South Africa. And then we have the private school networks who belong to the IEB, which is the Independent Examination Board. Both of these examinations are verified through SACWA, which is the South African Council for Quality Assurance, as well as Further Education and Training Authority called Umalusi, who administers and issues educational certificates, and they actually verify all of the exams and the results thereof. If you can go to the next slide, please. Amongst the top receiving states for students who are studying in the United States are New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, California, and Texas. What we're seeing particularly here is a strong network of existing South Africans who live in these areas, and so I think from a familiarity more than anything, students are sort of tend to look at these states as options. If you can go to the next slide, please. There are some challenges to recruiting for South Africans to study in the United States, chiefly amongst them the issue of affordability. The South African rand has depreciated quite markedly in the last 18 months. So it is not, it's very expensive and its price is a consideration for parents to send their children to study abroad. Academic proficiency. So there's with the public schooling system, there's quite a disparity between the quality of education received by the private school network, who invariably writes the Independent Examination Board examinations, the IEB. So there is a bit of a disconnect in terms of students being able to cope academically in the US. South Africa, I think, because of the first two challenges that I mentioned, the student engagement process is a much longer process in South Africa. There's a lot more consideration for parents and decision making to be had. You have to be prepared for this. Constant, consistent communication with students and their decision makers ultimately will yield results. As with any sales process, if the longer a process drags on, the more chance of somebody else coming up and sneaking them to another cheaper, more affordable, easier opportunity. So you want to be engaged with them all the time. And I mentioned at the onset, there's becoming an increasing competition from other countries such as India, Cuba, and Canada in particular. And this is chiefly related to affordability and academic proficiency. So what we're seeing is in those countries, there are lower barriers to enter for the South African students. If you can go to the next slide, please. In terms of opportunities, I think because of the challenges that I mentioned, the availability and the offering of more talent, sports-based or cultural-based and academic scholarships is vital for students as a consideration. Anything that drives the price point down is definitely a positive in this market. Probably before COVID, but COVID certainly exacerbated it and highlighted the growing recognition for online education. I think there are a lot of great things being done in South Africa in terms of making course content available online. And that represents an opportunity to engage with students, perhaps not so much on an undergraduate level, but certainly going into the postgraduate space. The impact of artificial intelligence, encouraging science, technology, engineering, and mathematics students. There's a big drive in high schools for this. And as South Africa is looking at embracing what government terms the fourth industrial revolution. So there's a big drive for course content and for students to move into these spaces and to study in these courses. South Africa is the #1 destination for students from other African countries who study outside of their own country. That upsurge in demand obviously lessens, puts pressure on the accessibility to higher education in South Africa for South Africans. I touched on the fact that there's capacity issues within the public institutes and private institutes in South Africa, and this upsurge in demand is really forcing South Africans to now look at other opportunities abroad. There's a competitive advantage for a US degree. I mentioned that the waiver for the TOEFL requirement, that's there and that's great. But I also think that the community college model, and I'm sorry if you've heard me speak before, but I always use an opportunity to punt that the community college model is ideal for South Africans. The 2+2, 3+1, the fact that it opens up to more affordable education, and students can then articulate to mainstream university, just allows also at what's regarded as a lower barrier to entry in the US education system. I think is a great opportunity to get a lot more South Africans engaged in the United States. Next slide, please. Just in terms of the next steps, we would advise that you work with recruitment agents and social media. South Africa has a very high mobile network and mobile penetration rate. So I think on average in South Africa, there's about the mobile device penetration is sitting at about 110%. So being able to communicate with students instantaneously and through social media is definitely a great marketing strategy that you should involve. The longer sales process just means that you have to demonstrate a commitment for regular, consistent engagement with the students. I've touched on coordinating school visits with the local academic calendar. I think that is critical. It's one thing to come to South Africa, but you need to come to South Africa before or whilst your other competitors are also coming to South Africa. So, for example, in South Africa itself, between the months of February to June, that is when a lot of local institutes are signing up students. That is when a lot of other countries are having school expos and coming to the market. I know with the United States, a lot of us look at coming in August, September, but by then students have already been marketed to and have begun to make some sort of decisions about their future. There's also a lot of international schools in South Africa, and engagement with them. International schools comes with a higher quality of education, but they also students come from a background that's a bit more affluent. And when I talk about international schools, I think I should also include the very well-developed private school network in South Africa. Students that are targeted from those schools, from that sort of background, tend to cope academically a lot better, as well as financially. They come from backgrounds where parents put a premium on their children's education, so that's important. And also partnership with government and local universities. I touched on the demand for online content. Lots of local universities are looking for curriculum development and sharing of knowledge, and that is, I think, a great way to start building a relationship in this country. In terms of prospective partners, I've listed pretty much everybody that I could find. The South African Qualifications Authority, SAQA, is there. Umalusi is there. The Independent Examinations Board, as well as the Independent Schools Association of South Africa is also there. The South African Department of Education, the International Education Association of South Africa are the ones that I'd like to highlight. If you are looking for course content and being able to share curricula, the Council for Higher Education, the CHE, is always important. And I think a lot of them, if you go onto these websites, they'll also have their member listing, so it gives you an idea of their sphere of influence. Next slide, please. And these are my contact details. Please feel free to drop me a message, an email, and I'm happy to assist as best I can. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for that extensive overview of South Africa. I would now like to introduce our colleague, Shaharan Waneri. He is covering our education sector out of Nigeria. Shaharan.
Thank you, Gabriella. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Shaharan Waneri. I'm the commercial specialist at the U.S. Embassy in Lagos, covering education. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll just give us a brief overview of the Nigerian market, a very interesting market, and a huge population of over 220 million people, with a very interesting median age of about 17 years. So what that means is about 65% of these 200 million people are less than 25 years old. And so you find over 103 million college age population, which is a huge market opportunity for the US. Interestingly, Nigeria remains the major source and the leading source of international students from Africa. That's number one in Africa and the 10th largest in the world. But I think by now that ranking should have even dropped further to the 9th or thereabout, leading students to the United States. And the interesting thing about these demographics is we have over 14,000 Nigerian students studying in the US, and approximately 97% of that number pay full tuition, contributing over $500 million annually to the US economy. And so that becomes a very interesting population to look at. Again, to look at the Nigerian market, you see the capital used to be Lagos, now Abuja. Lagos is the commercial hub of Nigeria, and that's where you have the high population density of people that are upwardly mobile. And beyond Lagos, you have Abuja, we have Port Harcourt, and then Enugu. These four states that I have mentioned covers the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, where you're having people, really looking to study in the US. Next slide, please. And so, again, just before I dwell on the slide, I want to look at why people are even considering the US. I've gotten a lot of inquiries, even up till today, at an education fair, in which some of the universities want to understand the upsurge in applications. And that's mainly because, number one, Nigeria as a whole, with the huge population we have just under 300 universities. I remember in NAFSA, which we had this year, a state in the US has over 200 universities, and that covers the entire number of universities that we have in Nigeria. So what that means really is the universities are not in Nigeria, not able to provide the education required by the population, as it's also a growing population, growing at about 2.5%. Again, Nigeria is predominantly an English-speaking country. That's our language of communication. And so what that means is Nigerians don't necessarily need English language assessment tests to get admitted into US universities or even other universities in other countries. And also, English language and mathematics are compulsory subjects to be written by any students, regardless of their academic inclinations. And so what that means is it's already, puts the students at, a level that universities in the US would want to, have a look at them. Also, what attracts students to the US is the grants opportunities, financial aids, and scholarship opportunities for which they see other students and so many other people receiving. And like I mentioned earlier on, limited capacities in the Nigerian universities. I've mentioned this in the past. I, for one, was a victim of having to wait 1 or 2 years before even having access into the university here. And then another area is courses on offer. We've seen the same type of courses. We've seen the way the Internet of Things, technology, and then even Industry 4.0 is disrupting education. And so there's also need to incorporate academia and industry into the curriculum of most universities. We don't find that here with a lot of universities. And so you find Nigerians looking out to the international community, especially the US, to find more creative courses, like biotechnology, especially in the STEM area, for them to, advance their education. Safety and security is also a concern. Safety in its, literal terms, and also the fact that the schools within areas where Nigerians can study, you find a lot of safety concerns. And so students would also factor in that in deciding. One other thing that I have seen over the years is poor infrastructure. These are some of the things leading on Nigerian students to seek opportunities to study in the US, and then most importantly, incessant strikes. So you find that last year, 2022, for instance, close to 9 months, the universities were on strike. So most students were just at home waiting for the universities to open up again. And that window, a lot of students move to other locations to go study. Next slide, please. Top receiving states in the US would be Houston, Texas, where you have a huge community of Nigerians. Almost most of the states you will find Nigerians, and in Illinois, Massachusetts, in Georgia, and in New York. Next slide, please. Programs of interest, STEM. And so historically, courses are determined for, especially at undergraduate levels, are determined for the students by their parents. And what our parents historically know is, I want my child to be a doctor, I want my child to be an engineer. And so that trend has moved over the years. But with a lot of students becoming more and more informed and seeing and learning about artificial intelligence and the dynamics around the way courses are evolving, you find a lot of students focusing on STEM related programs, IT programs, then healthcare as well. That's health sciences, business management, media, and law. So these are areas of significant interest to Nigerian students. Next slide, please. So this is another interesting slide that I would like to dwell on just for a bit. So top 3 competitors markets would be Canada, UK, Australia. Why? There are a couple of things informing the investments to study abroad for Nigerians. Opportunities to be able to, like I mentioned earlier on, engage in very interesting programs and courses, and then the opportunity to intern or even have the opportunity to, like, an OPT program in these other locations. These are some areas that we have seen reasons for which Nigerians are, considering other locations like the UK. Policies around gaining admissions. Most of these policies are beginning to be more favoring in ways that Nigerians are beginning to look into these three other locations, the UK, Canada, and Australia. And some of these policies for which Nigerians are beginning to consider these areas are also the use of education. I think my colleague in South Africa had mentioned something around agents. So I've found that over time, the attention span for most students wanes when they start the application process. A longer admission process or application process wears them out, and then you find them, dropping off. You find them start the process with a lot of enthusiasm, but along the way, they drop off. And so it becomes very critical to have some sort of hand-holding. And this also includes both undergraduate and postgraduate levels, because a lot of things chasing and charging towards them while on the internet. And so you find them, having to feel distracted. The UK, for instance, their partnership with agents here is such that the agents start the process for the students, of course, with the students providing all the documentation that will be required of them, and then get the admission, and then you find them providing consultation and support with respect to their visa application up till. So their focus is they want to get the students to enroll beyond just leaving it into the hands of the student. Again, you see they've also, most UK universities and then a few in Australia and Canada have also taken out admission and processing fees. So some of these things are the things they look at, and then they, this sparks their interest a lot. Education fairs, consistent engagement with Nigerian students. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had a number of education fairs that I've attended, and you find mostly in those fairs, you find UK universities, Canadian universities in, predominantly in those, fairs. So these are some areas that many US universities would be looking at in engaging with Nigerian students, consistent engagement, and beyond even in-person or physical fairs or education fairs, we will be looking at virtual education fairs like the one we're having now, which COVID has also heightened and made it look very important for us to continue to use these different mediums of engagement to engage with students. Next slide, please. So one of the challenges we have seen is when students go through all of the process, then they get to the visa area, because they need the visa, of course, to make their trip to the US. And that's something that's not within our control. But visa seems to be a major challenge, especially for students seeking to access education in the US. Funding, cost of cost of their study also is another big problem. Sometimes you find them getting those admission, but they're not able to advance that interest because of the cost. And admission process and requirements. As an English-speaking country, it becomes a turn off when students are told to bring proof of English language, and because you find them saying, "Oh, I've done my education from primary, and why do I need to provide English language at this time?" So a lot of universities in the US now and in the UK are beginning to evolve into this, now requiring the West African evaluation, the West African Examination Council certificate, which is normally called WAEC, which they just get the students to provide a scratch card. They are able to check by themselves the results online, and with that, they are able to provide the admission to the students. So that becomes very necessary for US schools to also look at. A major challenge again that we have seen in recent times is even when they now have the capacity to pay, scarcity of foreign exchange, it has been a huge challenge that we've been dealing with in Nigeria as a market, generally. But most importantly, the disparity between the Nigerian naira and the US dollars has also grown significantly. One interesting thing I saw today at an education fair is a US university on its banner put there that you can pay in naira. And then I engaged with them to say, how are you able to do this? And then they explained that. So I thought that's very creative to bring into the market. So these are some things that some challenges that we're currently facing, but there are creative ways around dealing with them. Next slide, please. And so please feel free to reach out to me at anytime you're looking to engage the market. It's a huge market opportunity for US universities. I'm available at any time. Just write me an email and then we'll be able to help you advance your interest in our market. Thank you.
Thank you, Bank Sharon, and all of our commercial service specialists for education updates across sub-Saharan Africa. I would now like to introduce Marita Lamb, Counselor Chief, representing the U.S. Embassy in Mozambique, to provide a consular update. Marita?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for your time and your attention. I want to give a caveat at the top and just say that this presentation is a bit more focused on our population here in Mozambique, and that's typically who I speak to about such matters. However, I will be speaking more generally about topics, so please just note that Mozambique can be substituted for any country that you wish to think about in this case, in this area. So I think that I can control this myself. So let's see. Yes, I can. Okay. So as I mentioned before, this is very Mozambique specific, but from this slide, what I want you to take away most importantly is Education USA. My colleague who just spoke from Nigeria mentioned that the visa is the last step, and he is very much correct in that. Basically, it is incumbent upon a student who is interested in studying in the U.S. To work either with your institutions, with their counselors at their schools, and or with the U.S. embassies and consulates closest to them via our Education USA programs to identify educational programs that best suit their needs for study in the United States. And so from this slide, the most important website is actually educationusa at state.gov, because typically from the perspective of a U.S. embassy or consulate, when someone says that they're interested in studying in the U.S., that is the place that they are first directed, because it is their job to find out which school, do the research basically to select a school and to be selected by a school. Okay, so when we're talking about folks traveling to the United States, we have more or less two batches in this area. We have the traditional student who may go to a 2 and or 4-year course of study. They may also be doing postgraduate work. We also have exchange student visitors who may also be studying. And so within those categories of visas, we have typically the F and or the J. So exchange students who may also be studying and or the traditional student. And so as it pertains to the documents needed by the visa section, once they get to the phase where they're ready to interview in order to obtain the visa needed to get to the States and begin their course of study. For students or the F category of visa, it is the I-20 form, and that originates from the educational institution. So I believe most of the people who are on this call, that would come from you all. And as well, the DS 2019 would apply to our exchange student travelers. That would also originate at the host institution. Other factors that are very important that were also mentioned throughout this longer presentation by the many commercial officers and sections is that we're also looking to see how folks are going to pay for school. So when we see someone at the window applying for a visa, it is not just enough that they are interested in going to the U.S. and hope to study there, but we are looking to see the how, right? Because we want to make sure that folks have the best opportunity to do exactly what they say they wish to do, which is study in the United States, and they need to have the funds in order to do that. Sufficient knowledge of the English language also discussed throughout the course of this conversation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's also if it is required. If it's required, yes, the officer is going to ask about that information, and also maybe just have the conversation with or the interview in English in order to gauge the skill level of that person. But they also may be asked to present information about that. However, through the I-20 and or the DS 2019, institutions are able to indicate if someone does not have the requisite proficiency in English, that they are working with students in order to get to that level, and that will be support provided once they get there. Also, the intent to leave the United States at the conclusion of their studies. Obviously, once someone gets to the U.S. and however their experience educationally is, that may determine that there is a change in what the desires of the traveler are at that point. However, when they arrive to the interview window, it needs to be understood that, again, this is a non-immigrant. This is someone who is coming to the U.S. for an extended period of time, but for a time that is temporary in nature. And so that also needs to be understood, as well as compliance with our Immigration Nationality Act 212E. And this is only for the exchange students, which means that if for their country there is a requirement that a student return to that country following that program for a required period of 2 years, that is something that is complied with. Okay, oops, let's see. Okay, so again, Mozambican students, take away Mozambican for students. So once again, it is incumbent upon the student to work with their educational institutions, both where they are located actually, and then also the schools that they wish to attend, to apply for admission to an improved school and or visitor program, and to require the documents that I mentioned previously. Obtain the passport needed in order to travel, because that is also very important and needed in order to obtain the visa, and also prepare all of the documents needed for the interview. And so just noting that as it pertains to visa issuance, if someone has a program that begins in September or August, applying for a visa in January is not appropriate for them, just because visas cannot be issued more than 120 days prior to the start of a program. So we are basically looking to see people shortly before they go, which is why typically at embassies and consulates during the summer seasons and also the winter breaks that are traditional to the United States, we typically see an uptick in the number of student visa travelers at our embassies for interviews and renewals of visas. So when we think about supporting documents, which is what I mentioned in the last slide, so evidence of your educational background. So students obviously have attended some sort of educational institution prior to applying to school in the United States. And so what does that look like? That could be transcripts, that can be a diploma. We basically in this space are looking to see if these folks are bona fide students. And if someone is saying, for instance, I am going to study a course in science, I may, in a transcript, be looking at all grades, but I may be in particular looking at grades in the area of science and maybe mathematics, just to see how they are faring in this space. Now, if someone is not an A student, does that mean that they will not get a visa? No, but it does mean that there may be a few more questions about their course of study and their ability to be successful in this space. As mentioned, I think by our colleague from South Africa, asking questions to see if the rigor of U.S. educational standards will be something that can be met. Obviously, it's not something that we're going to get into the nitty and the gritty, but we may ask some questions just to better understand where students are coming from. Evidence of finances and the financial ability to handle the expenses of tuition and all other expenses related to studying in the United States. And this could be based on, how they're paying. Is it a family source? Is it a family member? Is it a friend? Do they have a scholarship? Is it a scholarship through the school? Is it an independent scholarship? Is it a, sports related, meritorious, etc.? And so all of that information, particularly for folks who are traveling as traditional students, is often seen on the I-20 document. And so it's really important that as much information shared on that document as possible, so that that can be a part of the conversation that we're having with students when they come in for the interview. And ties to the location where they are residing. So during the period of COVID, the State Department, in order to help all travelers, but especially those who needed to travel, such as our student and exchange visitor travelers, basically implemented a policy that's called the Good Neighbor Policy, which means that a person can travel to any country in the world where there is an embassy or consulate to apply for a visa. So in the example of Mozambique, prior to the implementation of that policy, we were only, because even though it's a very large country, I am the sole consular officer, so our shop is a bit smaller here in the consular section. And so in order to not inundate our consular team with folks coming from all over the world and with our limited resources, we previously only saw citizens and or legal residents of Mozambique. But now we can see anyone and everyone. And so obviously a person who is coming to Mozambique for the purposes of the interview, I am not gauging what their ties are to Mozambique. However, I am looking at what their ties are to the location where they claim to reside. It is a little bit more difficult for folks who are not from Mozambique to say, to convince that they are tied to the place where they are, because the officer does not have the knowledge and the working knowledge of the other countries of the world. They have it specifically of the place where they are. So in my case, it would be Mozambique. However, there have been a number of cases where students have been successful applying in our country, or at our embassy, excuse me, and not being residents and or citizens of Mozambique. And so that's just something to keep in mind, but it is of note when speaking about the different challenges as far as ties. But when we talk about ties, we're talking about social ties, we're talking about economic ties, family ties, and future plans. And again, for a student, we're also looking to see what their, going back to their academic record and what makes sense about who this person is, what they plan to study, and where they plan to go. Obviously, as a young person, economic ties may not be extremely strong, but again, we're looking at the whole picture, the whole package, and we're having that conversation. A visa interview is exactly that. It's a conversation to better understand the intentions of the person who's in front of us, as well as what their ties are to the place that they are residing. Okay, so while this is, again, very specific to Mozambique, I want you all to just look at this with the understanding of the process of a visa, depending on the location. So it can be quite different, but there are a number of similarities. One of the major similarities is that every single person who wishes to obtain a visa must fill out a DS-160 form. Information about visas will always be available on the respective websites for the embassies and consulates of the location where the person resides. So if someone is in South Africa, if someone is in Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Mozambique, Tanzania, they can go to their embassy or consulate's website and learn more about the application process and their respective location. Everyone has to fill out a DS-160 form. Everyone will have to schedule an appointment. How that is done, as far as scheduling the appointment, that may vary from place to place. Appearing for the interview, it has to happen in every place, but how the interview is paid for will vary from place to place. Once a visa is, everyone has to come and submit their fingerprints, especially for the very first time that they're being interviewed, because that's a part of the biometric capture that we have to have, as well as a photo that we need to capture. Coming for the interview also happens. Once the visa is received, how it gets back to the applicant will also vary from place to place. And so the process exists, but it's a little bit different for everyone. But the overarching thing is everyone needs to fill out an application, everyone needs to pay, everyone needs to come for an interview, and everyone who gets the visa will be able to pick it up in accordance with how the process is set forth with their embassy and consulate. Oops, sorry. Okay. So things to think about bringing to an interview, which again, even though this is specific to an applicant, these are things for you all to understand as you're working with folks who are preparing to come to the United States and very excited to do so to study at your respective institutions, is that they need to be prepared documentarily. So we have had people come to us and say, I didn't bring my school records. I didn't know that you need them. I didn't bring any evidence of my ability to pay. I didn't bring my SEVIS fee receipt. And everyone needs to pay, every student needs to pay their SEVIS, both on the exchange student side as well as the F category, so traditional student side. Everyone needs to have a valid and correct I-20 for students traveling under the F category, and DS 2019 for those traveling under the J category or exchange traveler. And when I say valid and correct, meaning that the dates of the on the form have to align with the dates of their actual program. Also, that for instance, going back to the requirements about English. So if that is something where as an institution you plan to work with a student in order to improve their level of English, whether it's with a program that is before school starts and or throughout their course of study, that's something that needs to be identified, because if it is a requirement per the I-20 and or the DS 2019 that someone speaks English proficiently, then if they do not, that can be a grounds for not issuing a visa. And so for us, what we typically do is we work with students, or the travelers, excuse me, applicants, to work with the school in order to get an amended document. However, in the cases where the school does not wish to amend the document, if the person doesn't have the proficiency, we're left with only one choice and only one path. And so there's that. Of course, the passport validity definitely should, or actually just have a valid passport. And also the fees related to that. Typically fees can be paid with cash, with US dollars, and or whatever local currency exists. Okay. And so again, when someone comes to us, what are we expecting? One, we're expecting that they come prepared as it pertains to having their passport, having their fees, having a photo that's less than 6 months old with our other requirements, that they're ready to do their fingerprints, that they're ready to answer any questions that we have relating to what are their intentions? How do they select their school? How do they find their school? There are close to 4,000 schools in the United States and so many wonderful educational institutions. And so, you know, they can answer any kind of way, however they, became attracted to the school or what attracted them to the school. But we're just looking to understand, again, what are their motives, what are their intentions, and how did they come to the place where we are today, which is in front of me or whoever they are in front of to obtain the visa. Any other supporting documentation. And for those who are issued, they will receive information about the next steps for issuance. For those who do not come, our Immigration Nationality Act 214B, which basically means that they have the presumption of being an intending immigrant, excuse me, that this is why. Basically, throughout the course of the conversation, we are just looking to gauge that intent. Okay, all right. So again, very specific, but the approvals will be coordinated through the embassy or consulate where the person is interviewing. So it's important to understand that there are two types of refusals that a person can receive. One is a more or less a temporary refusal or a hold, and the other is, sorry, one second. Thanks. So, so as it pertains to our INA 221G refusal, basically what that means is that the person cannot be refused in the moment and at the time of the interview. So going back to my example of if a person does not have a correct I-20 form, meaning that English is required, but the English level is not necessarily proficient. They don't have those TOEFL scores, other information. And we're basically looking to have that I-20 form updated. That would merit a 221G refusal, which means that at this moment, we are not issuing the visa, but we have asked for more information in the hopes that we can revisit the case. And if we receive the item that we've requested and it is to our standard, we can continue processing the case and the case can be approved. Conversely, the 214B refusal is a refusal that basically is a decision of the case. And so that person is presumed to be an intending immigrant and the case is closed. If the person wishes to reapply, they have to redo the process all over again. Okay. Let's see here. So visa validity, so just kind of stepping back from this a little bit about Mozambique. Basically, if travel.state.gov, which is the State Department's website that has a lot of information about a number of different things, but there's a tab about visas on our travel.state.gov website. And under that tab, there's information about visa reciprocity. And you all are able to see both for the F and the student visa category and the exchange visitor category, what the reciprocity is for the countries of the travelers that you wish to attract, recruit, etc. And so in the case of Mozambique, a student visa has a duration of 12 months. What does that mean? It means that the traveler at the time of issuance may enter the country, has basically the year to enter in and out of the country from the time of issuance. But what does that also mean? It means that if a student decides to, at the time of entry, enter into the U.S. and our Customs and Border Patrol officials say that they are able to stay for the duration of study, whether they have a 3-month program and or a 4-year program. If they remain in the United States, they are in legal status. They are within the status of their visa. If they leave the country and their visa is expired, they will have to reapply. Okay, and in the cases where that is the case, where someone needs to reapply for a visa, interview waiver is available for many folks. And so if folks are traveling, say on the same program, so you have say a student who did their first year and say they went home for the summer and they wish to, go into their second year, in many places, to include Mozambique, if they're continuing the same program, they more or less we work with them to submit their documentations to be easily reissued a visa. All right. So as it pertains to working, in accordance with the laws in the country, the United States, student visa travelers, so Fs, do have the ability to work on campus initially and then off campus no more than 20 hours. However, if their spouses and or children accompany them to the United States under this status, they do not have that same ability. For those who graduate from their institutions and wish to engage in the optional practical training and or OPT, which is an opportunity that is up to 14 months for folks wishing to work for various companies, etc. in the United States, they have the ability to do that, but they have to work through Department of Homeland Security to coordinate that. Our J students also have the ability to obtain work. And in this case, spouses can do so as well, but they have to receive permission from Department of Homeland Security. Okay. And so basically, it's important if you have particular questions and or are engaged by embassies or consulates about specific folks, to just recognize that the information or the questions likely will be coming from the inboxes that are specific to the consular sections of the locations where the students are coming from or hailing from. And so in this case for us, it would be our Maputo consular and state.gov, and the mz.usembassy.gov is the embassy's website. So that's more information about our visas and questions. Oh, and let me stop being a moderator. So thanks, and back over to Gabriella. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Marita, for that wonderful overview of consular affairs. I believe we are over time, so in order to respect everybody's time, I think we will close out our webinar at this point. We will skip over questions for now, but if folks have questions from this webinar, please feel free to send us an email and we will follow up with you and connect you with our local specialists as well as our overseas specialists in sub-Saharan Africa. So again, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to our speakers and panelists today for engaging in this session. I would also like to thank our participants joining us today, and we will be sending out a recording of this presentation as well as information about the USASA Destination Virtual Connection Program in Sub-Saharan Africa. We hope that you will join us for this results-oriented program. Again, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.